asked to do by Netflix at a reduced price, now it has to be said, down from 100 million to 20 million.
Yeah, well, that's what sources are saying. I'm not sure. I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere, but yeah, I did read that today as well. I'm not sure what their next Netflix move is going to be. I'm not sure the Polo documentary did very well for Harry, but I know that Meghan's lifestyle show done very well. So it'll be interesting to see what they have coming up. It's not as if they're short of cash in a way. They're reportedly worth about $60 million between them. So yeah, I don't see them running to food banks anytime soon. I don't think we need to worry too much about them that way.
I'm just curious, Ellen. I've never met anybody who's watched anything or listened to anything that they've ever done. But have you watched her lifestyle program? And if so, tell me about it.
I did indeed. I watched it, but as part of my job. And to be honest, it's not something that I would watch, but just like I wouldn't watch F1 on Netflix, it's just not my cup of tea. But I did watch it, and I can see why people like it, but I can also see why people didn't like it. It was heavily curated, and it was very Instagram friendly, very Martha Stewart. I think a lot of people wanted more of a raw, gritty Meghan, where they can see an insight into her life a bit more, like kind of like what we get with the Kardashians, let's say. But we're not going to get that with Meghan and Harry. They have to really curate their lifestyle because, as you can tell, everything gets picked apart with a fine-tooth comb. So they have to be very careful what they put out there.
I'm listening to your lovely accent. Are you Irish?
I am indeed. I'm from Cork.
You're from Cork, are you? Oh, excellent.
I am.
Excellent. Do you still live in Cork, or you live in England?
No, I live in London now, so I've been here for the last 8 years, so it's starting to feel like home.
See, so what I'm sort of getting at as well is, does the Meghan stuff make you feel, I know you say it's Martha Stewart-like or whatever, but would she make you, bake cakes and do things that you would watch on it and you would say, oh, that just reminds me of home, that's lovely, that's really... Because I can't see anything in Meghan Markle's home that I think I would identify with. That's the thing.
I see what you mean. It is very Californian, let's say. I can see her target audience would be, stay-at-home moms and people who have a lot of time to put flowers in ice cubes. Obviously, that wouldn't be me, but actually watching it, I did feel a bit like, I want to go back to baking.
Let me tell you something that speaks volumes. Not with a press release or a headline, but with a quiet act of defiance. A wedding dress. Not just any dress, but one worn by a royal cousin, Madison May Brudenell. And this one act? It's more than silk and lace, it's a symbol. A ripple effect of Meghan Markle's unapologetic grace, still shaking the walls of royal convention long after she and Prince Harry left the institution behind. Welcome to the Royal Sussex Squad, the place where we don't just sip tea, we serve it piping hot. We pull no punches when it comes to defending Meghan and Harry against the lies, manipulation and flat-out hypocrisy of the British establishment and their mouthpiece media. Because while the tabloids spin their venom, we're here to speak truth. And today, that truth comes in the form of a bride who refused to be boxed in and a family that still cannot let Meghan go. Madison May Brudenell, a descendant of Lord Mountbatten, stood at the altar in 2024 for her second wedding. And what did she do? She wore white, elegant, striking, regal white, and suddenly, boom, the Meghan discourse resurfaces, uninvited, but ever present, because no matter how much the royal establishment wants to bury her under palace protocol, Meghan Markle keeps rising. In influence, in relevance, in legacy. Let's pause right there. Can we talk about how ridiculous it is that in the year 2024, the colour of a woman's wedding dress still invites scrutiny? Especially from the aristocracy, these people who will look the other way for literal scandal, as long as the tiaras are polished and the secrets stay buried. But God forbid a divorcee wear white and stand tall. So there Madison was, planning her second wedding, her first, a private elopement with a DJ, but now, with her Canadian love Brett Kapetanoff, she was doing it her way. Classy, elegant, meaningful. She chose a stunning white gown by Laura Green, walking into her new life with pride. But guess what her own mother did? She brought up Meghan Markle. Yes, again. Because apparently, even in 2024, Meghan's name is still being weaponized at private family functions. Her mother, Edwina Hicks, yes, the goddaughter of the late Queen herself, repeated that smug little line from Ingrid Seward, the royal commentator known for licking the boots of palace courtiers. Seward once said Meghan's gown was too virginal for someone who had been married before. Really? That's where we draw the line now? Not at abuse, racism, lies, or leaking to the press, but at whether a woman's dress looks too pure for her past? What kind of elitist, patriarchal nonsense is that? But here's the part that'll make you smile. Madison didn't flinch, she didn't erupt, she didn't beg for approval. She heard her mother out, acknowledged the generational gap, and then she made her own choice anyway. Sound familiar? It should, because that's exactly what Meghan did. She navigated toxic criticism from so-called family, faced off with centuries of rigid royal tradition, and still did what felt true to her. That's not rebellion, that's self-respect. You see, Meghan never needed the crown to define her. Just like Madison didn't need a green light from the aristocracy to wear white, that's the Meghan effect. It's not about breaking rules, it's about living honestly, boldly, authentically. And that scares the hell out of the people who've built their power on silence and submission. Let's be clear, the attack on Meghan's dress in 2018 wasn't about the dress. It was about control. It was about reminding her and the public that no matter how beloved she wasn't one of them. The press fed off that. The palace leaked, the tabloids twisted, and commentators like Ingrid Seward made it their job to dissect Meghan's dignity. And yet, even years later, it's her choices that inspire. Why? Because Meghan represents evolution, a modern woman, a symbol that you don't have to shrink yourself to be accepted. And that's precisely what they hate. They want women like Meghan, and now Madison, to second-guess themselves, to apologise, to shrink, to wear beige, blend in and bow down. But what happened? Madison wore that white dress anyway, and she did so with confidence, with her mother helping her with the veil, tears and all. It wasn't a rejection of tradition, it was a reimagining of it, a soft rebellion, a graceful assertion of self, and yes, a tip of the hat to Meghan. And that brings us to the deeper truth. This wasn't just about colour or couture. This was about narrative. For centuries, the British upper class has policed the lives of women through unspoken rules: who you marry, what you wear, how much of your voice you're allowed to use before you're too much. Meghan broke every one of those rules, and instead of folding, she flourished. That terrifies them. And let's not overlook the media's obsession. How is it that Meghan's dress is still being brought up in articles about someone else's wedding in 2024? Why is she the measuring stick? It's because the establishment can't move on from her. She haunts them, not because she failed, but because she escaped. And because others are now following her lead. Madison didn't just channel Meghan in what she wore. She channeled her in how she responded, with class, intelligence, and authenticity. She posted about it on Instagram, recounting how that article about Meghan was thrown in her face, but how she didn't let it rattle her. And then, my favourite part, she threw in some cheeky commentary. "Shall I just splash some muddy water or blood on it too?" she joked about her dress. That's the spirit, humour in the face of elitist judgment, resilience, not rage. She even commissioned a jeweller to recreate a sentimental tiara from her family's history, the Mountbatten pearl and diamond tiara, with her own modern twist. An aquamarine pendant, a nod to the past, shaped for the future. Now that is legacy. Not the dusty rules of aristocracy, but the personal stories we reclaim and carry forward. That's what Meghan and Harry are doing too, building a new kind of legacy based on truth, service and personal freedom. And still, the critics circle like vultures, squawking about propriety and appearance. But here's what they don't get. You can't kill authenticity. You can't cancel grace. Meghan's not out here begging to be seen. She's living, thriving, making global impact, while the palace remains trapped in outdated rituals and PR disasters. Let's never forget, Meghan and Harry walked away from all of this. They left the institution because they refused to be crushed by it. They wanted peace, not pretense. They chose purpose over performance, and that choice continues to echo across continents and generations, even in the white silk of a distant cousin's gown. So to all the Madisons out there, standing tall, choosing joy over judgment, we salute you. And to Meghan, whether she hears us or not, we say thank you. Thank you for your quiet strength, for showing us that you don't need a crown to be powerful. You just need to be yourself, no matter how loud the critics scream. And to the critics, keep screaming, because every time you try to tear her down, you prove how strong she really is. William and Harry's cousin reveals why she followed Meghan Markle's example amid extreme pressure. Madison May. Brudenell's great-grandfather was Lord Mountbatten Prince William, and Prince Harry's cousin has explained why she followed in Meghan Markle's footsteps with her wedding dress. Madison May Brudenell, whose great-grandfather was Lord Mountbatten, tied the knot with Canadian welder Brett Kapetanov in October 2024. This was Brudenell's second wedding. However, the bride was adamant about wearing a white wedding dress. Traditionally, white wedding dresses were associated with virginity. However, modern brides frequently wear white dresses at their weddings, regardless of how many times they have walked up the aisle. One such bride was the Duchess of Sussex, who chose a Claire Waite Keller design from Givenchy for her nuptials in 2018. Meghan, 43, was previously married to Trevor Engelson, an American producer, in 2011. Before divorcing him in 2014, Brudenell has opened up about the opposition from her mother, Edwina Hicks, to wear a white wedding gown for her second wedding. The 31-year-old previously eloped with a DJ named Olaoluwa Modupe Oho, but later wore a bespoke white dress by Laura Green of Modern Bride to marry Kapetanov. Writing on Instagram, Brudenell repeated royal commentator Ingrid Seward's famous quote about Meghan. In the monarch's view, it was not appropriate for a divorcee getting remarried in church to look quite so flamboyantly virginal. Brudenell explained, "Not written about me, but about Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Needless to say, when this article was flung in my face last week, I didn't bat an eyelid." Stewart wrote how the late Queen only revealed her opinion to her closest confidants, and the Queen's cousin Lady Elizabeth Anson, who is said to have been among those confidants, apparently shared that Meghan's dress was improper, considering she had been married prior to Prince Harry. Why was I unsurprised by reading this article? Because my mother, our late Queen's goddaughter, had said exactly the same to me. Other family members would agree, she said. Was I offended? I was sad to think about the painful past during what I wanted to be a joyful, future-focused time of my life. But I heard her out, and I understood the notion. My mum was speaking out of love and care for me. I didn't let my feelings overcome me. We talked about it. Pictured here, my mother helping me with my wedding veil before we were swept into the white pearl-coloured Rolls-Royce to the church, where I was to marry my knight in shining armour at Brett Kapetanov. Brudenell continued, "As I told my mother, we may as well just splash some muddy water, drip some blood, sweat and tears on it for good measure. As it happens, my dress did have a lot of unique components to it, but these were because of what I chose, and not in any way what I felt I must choose. My mother listened to my wisdom and respected my style. I am blessed to have had that freedom. The pressures on the immediate royal family are extreme, and we must pray for them." To accompany her wedding dress, Brudenell wore a silver replica of the Mountbatten pearl and diamond tiara, featuring an aquamarine pendant. She explained, "There was a stunning tiara that my great-grandmother, Lady Mountbatten, had, which was passed down to my grandmother and my mother. It's sadly not in the family anymore, but a fantastic jeweller, Susie Smither of the Rockhound, created one for me, with a nod to the Mountbatten pearl and diamond tiara." The bride said her grandmother was really surprised by the sentimental gesture. If you've made it this far, you already know what time it is. Hit that subscribe button, because here on Royal Sussex Squad, we tell it like it is. No sugarcoating, no palace-approved scripts. And if this story touched you, if you're tired of the nonsense and want to support this truth-telling community, drop a super thanks below. Every contribution helps us keep lifting the voices that matter and silencing the noise that doesn't. Until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and as always, stay Sussex strong.